There are some absolutely massive, gigantic trading opportunities in the markets right now. We are going to be taking a look at today Bitcoin and some altcoins. Primarily, I'll be focusing on Ethereum, Solana. We can take a look at Pepe, but I mean, overall, all the altcoins right now are looking super bullish. I want to start off focusing on Bitcoin, which, what can I say, is right now the most just technically perfect traded asset in the world. You're seeing just several times a day right now, just some wonderful trade setups. So I do not want you to be missing out on this. I want to analyze the charts, removing all the FOMO, because I know right now, I see the sentiment of the market. It's very high on the FOMO, the euphoria. So we're going to be removing that. We're just going to be looking for high probability trading setups. Of course, understanding the underlying, which what I have to say here is the biggest, strongest bull market that we have seen in a few years. It's just a massive bull market that we're in right now. And of course, the higher term time frame bias, just has to be bullish. It's such a strong market that we're in. But within that, we understand the higher term time frame market. We understand the market structure. Everything about the medium higher term time frame is bullish. But that doesn't mean we're just going to take random longs at random levels at the top of these pumps. We have to wait sensibly for retracements to the downside, where then we can look for those aggressive long trades, to continue that trend to the upside. At that same time, just as you wait for those, minor little pullbacks to the downside for your longs, there is some opportunity, right, to trade a short on that pullback. I will just say this: you have to have that high degree of skill. You really have to know what you're doing to have your risk management on point. But there are some nice short trade opportunities. Of course, the easier trade and the easier trend is the longs. So that's something that you can weigh up in this video, whether you're interested in some of these shorts or if you just want to play the bigger bull trend right now, and that's absolutely fine too. I'll give you both sides of the market myself as a professional trader that comes in here every day, makes millions of dollars of profits off of trading. I'm happy to trade both sides, and thus I'm going to be sharing with you, just high probability trade setups. That's what we love in this channel, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. So please listen carefully, listen closely, because I really mean it when I talk. I'm going to be sharing some real key insights, knowledge that I've built up over coming on 15 years in these markets. So it's been a journey. It's been a wonderful one at that, and lots to share with you today, because what we're seeing right now has been absolutely wonderful. So we are going to be taking a big look at the altcoins, because I know the altcoins right now are fan favorites. I want to start off with Bitcoin though, which is my little baby, star of the show. Love Bitcoin, love it. I have a big passion, massive love for Bitcoin, because it's just truly for me the most technically perfect traded asset in the world. So I'll pick up where I left off my last YouTube video, where we were trading around here, right off of Thursday the 7th, so a few days ago now. We had just seen the breakout of the channel, which was for me the range high. Please go back and watch the video if you haven't already. But to summarize, made it really clear, we've seen a breakout of this channel. We've seen a wonderful backtest of that channel. There is no short trade to be had unless you see the failed auction. What is the failed auction? It is a move into and close below the range low. What you actually saw was a bit of a wick, and I actually in that video referred to, if you see a wick to the downside, that of course is not a failed auction. That is actually more of a bullish play here. But you have to analyze the order flow. The order flow is going to be absolutely key of what goes on if we get that break back down below $116,000. I just want to show you a really quick snippet just to show not only Bitcoin. I mean, you can see here just absolutely perfect in terms of the respect of the analysis and the levels, but on top of that, the order flow. So you got the technical, like horizontal levels of respect, but the order flow here is on top of that, just wonderful. Of course, that whole bounce stemming from the back test of the dollar to the point of control. I mean, it just really has been really nice to see. And anyway, nevertheless, we get to this point. So this is where we started to break back down. Price was attempting to get the breakdown to form a failed auction. But as price started to fall, again, this is no hindsight. This is live in the time as it's happening, and this is the advantage of being a champion member. As soon as we started to get that breakdown, I'm in here telling the champion members, no shorts for me, even though you might feel that this is a failed auction. Because of the order flow, I recognize that this is not a short trade to be had. So listen carefully, because this is the insights that you're just not going to see anywhere else. We were seeing open interest increasing, but I was here at the computer down on like the 1 second chart. You could see I'm analyzing it as it's moving down. So real time price action. As soon as we got that move below this 116,000, we actually saw a lot of new shorts open. And for me, that was a conditional orders being hit. So people that are sat there while we're trading above the high, conditional orders to open a short. I recognize this in the open interest, the trade counts. Okay. Trade counts are really key. So if you do not track trade count, then, this is what you're missing out on. And I will show you that on the order flow here a second. So you can see here, you absolutely need to have on your templates here the trade count, because, this is where you get that information. Anyway, within the order flow, I personally could tell that there was conditional orders being hit. And so essentially, this is a super, super, super aggressive way of taking short trades. But you have to understand the bigger context here. We are in a major bull market. So it doesn't really pay to be super aggressive on a short trade in such a big bear market. If you want to take a short, you've got to be trying to time the high. Shorting after the breakdown in a bull market, not really something that is great. And that's why you have to have that degree of caution. So for me, this was an obvious failed auction. Okay, I would have shorted it if the order flow was looking a bit better. But because I just had this feeling, okay, that this is going to actually be ending more in trap shorts. I mean, literally within, 5 minutes, you saw the wick. So it was pretty easy to confirm. Even if you did get faked out of the short, you could have closed it straight away, I guess. But nevertheless, it was kind of I'm not going to say it was easy, but it was a short trade to avoid if you were following the order flow. You actually then saw instantly after the shorts opened on their conditional orders, you instantly started to see the longs buy back. So that then left the trap shorts at the low. So then you have a lot of trap shorts in the wick with longs buying back. This is just a recipe that you don't want to be trapped down in the wick of that candle, right? So you can see here how it looked in the order flow as you were starting to break down the shorts opening, buy back off the new longs. If I was a market maker, right, I would run the highs next. What I mean by run the highs next is we've just got the drop to the downside. Well, it makes the most sense to run it back up to the highs now. Next big target above us was, of course, $117,500, which was that downtrend anchored VWAP from the all-time highs, and a weekly naked point of control, if you remember. So you had the anchored VWAP from the all-time high that was coming in there at $117,500. I did mention this in my last video as well, which was on the weekly naked point of control, $117,500, like $12. So this was a really nice trade. Of course, again, there was an opportunity for a short there. If you had the skill, there was a short trade opportunity. Of course, you're not in that same short now, but what did you do? You took the short trade from 117,500 and it done just a perfect back test once again of this key $116,500 level. From what am I on about? 116,000 psychological level. So that big, just round number of the range high. We had already broke out one, back tested it. We've moved up to the 117,500 anchored VWAP all-time high resistance, weekly naked point of control. We've got a little bit of a pullback there, where to once again onto that same range high, where we've then formed another higher low. So this is just all series of lows, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. This is another higher high. This could be a higher low. This is just a very, very, very strong uptrend right now. So, we back test here again. And what did you do this morning? What we done here was just absolutely amazing. I will show you this right now. So if I just hide these anchor VWAP levels, I want to show you the local range volume here. And I specifically want to show you the point of control. So remember this point of control, how when we were analyzing it a few days ago, we had this perfect bounce off of the point of control, right? This is our mini range here on the 1 hour chart. We pull back and we hit the point of control. I want to just say this, to the absolute dollar, we hit the point of control. And of course, now we're trading up to around $118,000. So that was the absolute low of the move. But the point of control there was just fully well respected. So this morning, I told my team, by the way, I do still remain, I'm very, very bullish on altcoins. I have been for a little while now and still bullish on Ethereum, but we're getting to Ethereum. Do not worry. I wanted to refer to this post here. So yeah, for me, I'm still confident on Ethereum going higher, by the way. That was at 5 a.m. UK time. Since then, we're up like another 5%. So pays to wake up early. Anyway, yeah. I wanted to go to the bigger range point of control. So our bigger range point of control is the next sensible level. I was not expecting another rejection from here. It's like, okay, we've formed the first pullback of the anchored VWAP. We've formed a higher low. Again, go check. There's no hindsight here. It's, you can see 1028 took the Prince Creek, 1029 posting it in here, just doing it straight away. Writing, it seems the most probable that we're going to break the anchored VWAP and we're going to make our way up to the bigger range point of control. And then what you actually done here, if you zoom in and you take a look at this one, the bigger range point of control. I just want you to just see this from my last live stream here for the champions. Point of control, $117,942. Okay, I repeat, $117,942. Do you want to see what happened next? The level that we're ready and waiting for, the range point of control. This is what it looked like. We hit bang straight onto it. I actually want to show you this high. So I'll take the horizontal ray tool there, $117,946. We hit this range point of control. This range point of control, we hit it to the absolute dollar. Absolute dollar. It just blows my mind of how amazing this is. So we hit that to the absolute dollar, and of course that is given a little short of a scalp short. So again, you have to be aggressive, and this is what I want to really emphasize here. If you want to take a short, let me emphasize this in full screen. The bigger and easier trend to trade is longs. Okay, so that is the easiest trade. The highest probability is continuation of higher. Okay, we're in a bull market. The trend is strong. The markets are good. If you want to trade the easy way, it's of course just looking for longs on these retracements. And there has been several opportunities of retracements over the past few weeks. There's lots of opportunities to have got into a long trade. But at that same time, you might think, well, what's the point in taking a short trade? The market is strong. You're bullish. You're saying higher probability of higher. The market is just, again, super bullish. Why would you take a short trade? And I mean it. Like, if I want to take a short trade, I want to try and time the absolute high. I'm trying to get a very, very good entry. Not to brag about it on a YouTube video, but just to say that is the only way of getting profits. And you might, again, you have to weigh this up. Is it worth like the increased risk of taking a short trade in a bull market? Well, for many people, they would just say, no, I'm not interested in the shorts. I'm going to play the longs. And I say, well, that's absolutely fine. That's nothing that I can say that's wrong about that. The reason I like to take these shorts is because, well, I guess the number one reason is that is profits to be made. If you have your level marked out, you're ready and waiting, you hit it to the exact dollar, you're talking about less than 0.01%, right? There's a very, 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 very small risk on this trade in terms of the percentage, minuscule, perfect reaction. And I mean, then the profits that have come from this, right? So we've already, I just find it absolutely outstanding that the way it was respected to the exact dollar, the 1 minute chart view, and this is why I love to trade off of, or chart off of this BTC USD bear on Bybit. It has had this unmatched precision for a long time, and it just shows it time and time again. The order flow is the best, and I mean here you just see the exact precision on the respect to the levels. So that's why I love to trade on these Bybit charts. They're just absolutely outstanding. But, that is why I do say that, the market's super bullish, but there is opportunities, right? So whether I personally took this short trade, and it's just because I was here at my computer, I'm ready and waiting for the level, felt it's the highest probability we go range point of control, we hit into range point of control, there's a perfect reaction. Why would I not take the short trade, right? The only reason you would not take the short trade, well, again, is if you're following a plan which is, I'm only going to take longs, well, then of course you don't take the short trades, or you end up getting too bullish at resistance, and that's never a good thing to do. So, okay, I'm not telling everyone to short now, because I wouldn't short now, but if you come up to the resistances, you hit them, well, why would you not short when you got the perfect reaction off the level, right? So again, that's something that you need to weigh up. But I digress and I move on here, and I get to what we're looking at now and what we're looking at next. I'm going to try and do the next part of the analysis in super quick time. So then we're going to take a look at the altcoins as well. So right now on Bitcoin, what is going on here? Well, first of all, we have to understand the bigger trend. We've clearly put in a very strong low, very strong high, very strong higher low. This is all essentially part of this same bit of price action. And if this is part of the same bit of price action, okay, if this is our low, we're just continuously working on internal here, higher highs, higher and lows. Well, we can definitely line this up with a bigger 1, 2, 3 right now. Okay, and there's no sign that this is over yet. We can still put in the 3, 4, 5 continuation to the upside. So if this is the case, really, really obvious and really key. Top of wave one cannot be broken. This is a strong impulsive Elliott waves. We cannot break below wave one. If we break below wave one, well, the count is invalidated. That's why this was such a lovely pullback that we saw back here when we saw the wick to the downside. When we saw this wick to the downside, if you actually remember, that wick to the downside was the back test of the top of wave one, but there's obviously no invalidation there on account, but that was just lovely to see the resistance support flip there, by the way. So yeah, if we are to keep this going, of course we can just continue to look for continuation to the upside. Invalidation of a 1 2 3 4 5 and moving into a bigger WXY XZ is if we break below wave one. It's something to be aware of, and that's why personally I do like to take, even though I'm bullish, these kind of aggressive short trades at the highs, because if, let's say, again, it's not the most likely right now, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. If the unlikely happens and we break down here, would you be interested in taking aggressive short trades down here? I wouldn't be. I'd be a bit worried of shorting down here because of the easy snapback that you could do, right? I would just never be so keen on shorting a breakdown in a bull market. The only way I like to short is if I can short the exact higher the moves. And that's why I'm so planned out for these types of things. Because I know if you're late to the short in a bull market, you're not going to end well for you. 9 times out of 10, you have to get the good entries. And so again, that's not the highest probability that we break down here, but it could happen, and that's why there's advantages in taking these aggressive shorts. Anyway, I digress and I move on again, and I say, well, right now, again, we can look for another high, another move to the upside, and I would be looking very close to this range point of control at your monthly naked point of control. So at the monthly naked point of control, which is just above $118,000. That's a little bit of a zone to around those highs back on the 31st of July. So that will be your monthly previous monthly close there. So around 100, you could really class that as $1,000 zone, $118,000 to $119,000, but the monthly naked point of control coming in there, $118,000. I'm very comfortable with this being a high, but of course the overlying bullish trend right now, we can absolutely see another push to the upside. If we are to see another push to the upside, well, you got a very simple type of trade setup here, and that is a move to the upside. Okay, which you look for a simple fake out of the daily high. So this happens today, it happens tomorrow. You can look for this to make its way back up. See if you do one of two things, right? You either get a strong breakout, amazing, you get continuation, or you get another little fake out of the highs here. Much like you actually saw here, right? If you didn't short the absolute high, you could have shorted just below $117,500. Because then you've done a little fake out of the high. So it's the same again here. If you do break the high, come back down, just like this is an aggressive short trade, you could take a very similar trade setup there. So yeah, that's a few different short options if that's of interest to you. It is of interest to me, but I know it isn't for a lot of people, and that is what it is. They're much more interested in the longs. So that then leads us on to, well, where could you be looking for longs here on Bitcoin? Well, of course, you can start to take this as a mini range here. Daily naked point of control on a range point of control. It's also going to be forming a bigger higher low here. You're going to see this is coming down towards the CC, which you're very close to now, by the way. You're very, very close to this now. You can start to see that if this is to form, just a continuation of this more local trend, which is lows, highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. Well, you want to see this hold the higher low here, right, for the continuation. Okay, so if it started to break down and lose that, well, that's where it can start to get that weakness, you see. So, nevertheless, that then leads you on to, well, if you want to continue the trend, you want to continue the higher lows. Thus, it is a nice day trade of getting it up to $118,000. 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, not bad, given the overall underlying context of the trend. Now, where a day you get one of two things, right? You get that short trade setup, or you get the breakout. So if you get this breakout, and then what you do is you just keep the stop loss trailed up. And of course, you could trail it up and up and up and up and up and up and up until that trend actually changes. What I will say is I'm always a lot more happy to take these long trades when I also have a short from the highs. Okay, so I have, again, I'm not going to go, I don't want to go on about it too much because probably, I release this video tomorrow. We're trading up here. Everyone's forgot about the short trade, but, it's an educational video at the end of the day. I just want to say this. I like to get these short trades mainly for the hedge and the protection, but also the confidence it gives me to be more aggressive on the longs. Like, I'm always going to be more aggressive on a long trade if I have a short trade open. If I don't have a short trade open, would I still take aggressive longs? Yeah, I would if it gives a good setup at the end of the day. But psychologically for me, I'm just a lot more calmer when I already have a short trade open in profits. When I take a long, I don't know, psychologically for me, it's a massive advantage. So, I'm in that position now. So, yeah, we'd be looking for that aggressive long. So that's Bitcoin for me. Next key levels, what we want to hold in terms of the Elliott wave count for the wave one. If that's invalidated, we got a WXYXZ. I really mean it. Bitcoin right now is just seeing pinpoint perfection. I mean, levels literally respected to the absolute dollar. I mean, come on. Just absolutely wonderful stuff. And I actually can show you something here really quickly. Where is this target I was trading? I wanted to show you something because this plan that I had going on was, I'm going to try and find this really quickly. Bear with me a minute and then we'll move on to Ethereum. I had this planned a few weeks ago. I was following. Posted it in my Discord. Look at this. Yeah, this was a plan and a half, right? So this was a few, actually not even that long ago. But it was a move up to around a range high, the pullback to form the higher low for the continuation towards $118,000. This actually played out perfectly where it did give a short. It actually then did give the target and you did get that reversal back to the upside. So again, it wasn't pinpoint accuracy, but it was pretty close. There was the low. That was the high up into the resistance. That was the pullback for the higher low. And now look where we are, back up to $118,000. So just, yeah, Bitcoin right now, I'm absolutely loving it. Anyway, that's Bitcoin done. Let's move on to Ethereum. So, I have been bullish on Ethereum for a little while now. Really since it got that breakout on the BTC pair, which was middle of last month. For me, that was the sign to be bullish on Ethereum. So I was not really bullish on Ethereum here. I was not bullish on Ethereum here. You might say, well, Daniel, you missed the absolute low on Ethereum. And I did. Okay, I did miss the absolute low on Ethereum because I was not bullish on Ethereum here. But as soon as we got the breakout here is where I flipped bullish. And so some people might say, you missed the low on Ethereum. And, well, that is true. I cannot say I I can be honest and transparent and say I did not long the low of Ethereum. I was not bullish at the low of Ethereum. But I just want to explain that because I had been bearish on Ethereum for the past 4 years. And so, I avoided longing. And then you got the guy here that's got a long, and now got his screenshot of the long. But after taking like 100 losses in a row before you finally got the win, what I waited for was a simple market structure change. So I just want to show you here, since this is all the way back from December 2021. So 2021 to 2025, what did we do? I just want to really emphasize this because it is just crucially important, my friends. And that is we formed a big high, a big low, a big lower high. But then from here, look at this, lower highs. And just look at the market structure. Okay, lower high, 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 lower high. What did we do here? For the first time in 4 years, we changed market structure. I've not seen this in years. So I did not long the low on Ethereum. Why? Well, because the trend was telling me, well, yeah, we could bounce here, but I want to see the strength. I'm not interested in longing the absolute low, but I will happily get aggressive on longs once I finally see a sign of strength. Okay, we formed the rally, we formed a higher low, we changed market structure. We formed a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high, which is something we have not done for years. Every rally thus far of the whole of this trend, every rally that we had seen was lower high continuation to the downside. Right? We've seen rallies in the Ethereum chart, but every time, instead of doing higher low rally, instead of seeing higher low rally, it was doing this: lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. This was the first time, instead of doing that, we put in a higher low, we changed market structure. And just for me, you can go back and look for yourself. That was when I started to say, okay, this is the change on this is the change on Ethereum. This is where I have to say I'm bullish on Ethereum. My target has been and still is this big green box that I have here around the weekly monthly level. Okay, that's 0.038 on the Ethereum BTC pair. This is what a lot of people do not look at. A lot of people do not analyze the ETH BTC chart. And that's the mistake, in my opinion. You have to analyze this chart to know where the strength is. Should you be long in Ethereum, or should you be long in Bitcoin? Should you be long in altcoins, or should you be long in Bitcoin? Well, in my opinion, as soon as you got this breakout here, there is more gains to be had long in altcoins and Ethereum than there is Bitcoin. Okay, there is just simply more gains to be had. And I will emphasize this in a very simple way. You can see from the breakout on the 16th of July, let's just 16th of July. Okay, we're just going to take it from the lows to make this a simple theory. Okay, low on Bitcoin to the current high, you can see 5% move to the upside. Well, let's look at Ethereum over the same period of time. 26% move to the upside. You could have longed Bitcoin, you could have made 5% profit. You could have longed Ethereum, you could have made 26% profit, Ethereum against Tether, just by having the understanding that ETH BTC is more bullish. Thus, you're getting the gains because of this ETH BTC pair, right? Just crucially important that you understand that, because I do not think a lot of people understand it. And I actually think why? Because you have to be a little bit of an OG in crypto to look at ETH BTC. I was trading this when ETH BTC was a popular pair. You would ask people that have been in the market since 2020. A lot of people have only ever traded the Tether pairs. They didn't even know about ETH BTC sort of thing, right? So I think this is the advantage of having experience in the market. I've never forgot about ETH BTC, and that's the key here. So you can see we are starting to reach this target though now. So this is a major target, and it's like I was saying actually on Twitter the other day. Like I'm expecting new all-time highs on Ethereum against Tether. Well, now here we are a few days later. We have hit all-time highs on Ethereum. Okay, so it's just something to bear in mind. You are you're very close to them. Okay, you've still got another 16%. So you're getting close to the all-time highs on Ethereum. Against on the Tether pair. I do feel that we are going to breach these all-time highs because of the ETH BTC pair, right? So we're looking at about another 16% move to the upside. Here to the monthly, we've still got a zone of around another 7%. So what we need to see the Ethereum all-time highs is the strength on Bitcoin continuation. Okay, so this is where it's absolutely key what we see on Bitcoin to aid Ethereum. I do feel the Ethereum pair has around another 7% against Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, I feel, is crucial to hold above $115,000. If we lose $115,000, that's where it opens up this scenario of a much bigger move to the downside. And I truly do feel that you have to be aware of that. But again, this is a crucial support. At the moment, it's holding. Everything's good. Ethereum can still move to all-time highs. But if Bitcoin loses $115,000, well, that's where I do think that it's going to essentially front run and get a much larger move to the downside. When we look at Solana, though, Solana is still super. I'm still very bullish on Solana right now. Actually, looking at this as a little bit of a 3 drives pattern. I want to show you this from the CC retracements low. CC from low to high. Perfect move into the CC. Fibonacci from low to high. Perfect move into the top of the CC there. What does that give? It does give a 3 drives. I always look at 3 drives first when I see this. Drive 1, drive 2, drive 3. Okay, so that'd be giving targets of around $130, $135 on Solana. So yeah, I'm looking good for another move up on Solana in my opinion. Pepe, a very similar scenario here. Here you actually had a little bit of a head and shoulders fake out as well. But yeah, I do remain. Basically, my proxy on these alts is, well, Ethereum's looking good for the higher target. Well, we are getting very close to it now. Well, I'm bullish on the rest of the altcoins. And Ethereum's looking for pullbacks. I'm a bit more cautious on the altcoins. But, for the past few weeks, it's just been opportunity galore on the altcoins. I want to say this before I wrap it up. Actually, there's a few things that I want to say. Before I give my final opinion on Bitcoin here, I want to just say this, and that is just a reminder of the $10,000 giveaway that we're doing. So you can join that for free, open to everybody. Come over to the giveaway section in the Discord, free to enter. You just scroll. You got to scroll all the way to the top. I know, hard. You got to scroll to the top and enter your Bybit user ID there. You can follow these steps on a few posts below it. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. Really, really simple, really easy to join. You're in the $10,000 giveaway. Also, as a little bonus, everybody that joins the giveaway gets the new Atas template that I built from the ground up. So you get all of the hard work that was put into this. A lot of time was building it. You get it for free by just joining the giveaway. So lots of reasons to join. And yeah, any questions, you can post it in the giveaway channel. But we're going to start giving away this $10,000 next week. I'll go on live stream. We'll randomly select some people, right? And you can be in the chance of winning $10,000. We just need to say this, that when you join, there's a few little things to mention here. I really recommend you read through the thread, because there's already been some questions. But you just have to have traded over actually $30 over the past 30 days. So a minuscule amount to be eligible for this, but that's just something I wanted to mention. Other than that, that's the giveaway, $10,000. Join it for free in the Discord. Super easy, super quick. Everybody else, final words on Bitcoin is, I know a lot of people, some people that are inexperienced will say, Daniel, you're telling us the market can go up, you're telling us the market can go down. What's happening, Daniel? Is it going up or is it going down? I say, as a professional trader, I need to be prepared for a scenario where the market moves up and I know where my next short is. I need to be prepared for a scenario where the market moves down and I know where my next long is. Of course, the highest probability is the market goes up, just having an understanding of the trends and the probabilities within this. But, I'm not here to say, well, the market is 100% going up next. Even though unlikely, we could get a major pullback, right? Unlikely, but we could get a major pullback. So you have to be prepared for the drop. And I somebody commented it on my last video. They were like, oh, look at this guy. He's just saying the market can go up or down. This is totally useless. I don't feel sorry for the guy, because I don't know what they want. I don't know what you expect me to say here. You just want me to come in and say, yeah, the market's definitely going to rise. Well, it's just not real life. It's just, that's just not how a professional views the market. Of course, I understand the probabilities are higher, but I know I just really want to try and connect. I want to spend last 1 minute here of the video to try and connect with the people, because I know, I just truly know, and I see it through the people that listen. If you truly listen, you will learn. And through that learning process and experience that you gain, you are going to become a much better trader. Lots of people have gone through the Chart Champions process and have become very successful traders. That is not by chance. That is through hard work. So for the people that think, oh, this guy's telling us it can go up, it can go down, or this guy's, giving like 5 different trade scenarios. And a lot of people will actually try and troll me for that, because they don't understand that is how you have to analyze the market as a professional. I have a bullish scenario, I have a bearish scenario. And within these scenarios, I have a bullish scenario where I have a short trade. I have another scenario where we get the breakout. I have, like 3 different places where I can look for a long. I can look for my long off the daily naked point of control. But what happens if that is my one and only scenario, and then we do this and we get a bigger break to the downside? I need to be aware of all these different scenarios. So when they happen, I'm not sat like a deer in the headlights with fear shorting the lows, or the alternate, breaking up, feeling FOMO, not in any longs, longing the highs, and then it starts to pull. No, we don't ever do that. We get amazing trades, and it is because of these plans. It is because of these plans, truly, we get amazing, amazing, amazing trades. I mean, we have took some absolutely outstanding trades, and it's through having these plans, it's through having this understanding, and I hope to connect with you, and slowly but surely you understand that this is the way to trade. It's not a moon boy, it's not a perma bear, it's just looking for good trade setups, having those different plans in place, being prepared, not getting greedy, and just being very content with what you have. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you ever so much. You want more, you know where to get it. chartchampions.com. Thank you ever so much. Hope you've enjoyed. And that's me signing out. See you next week where we'll start to give away the $10,000. Cheers, everybody. Thank you. And that's me signing out. And I just realized, oh my God, I'm not even sure how long I've been on full screen there. chartchampions.com for more. Cheers. Thank you. And goodbye.